very much for the privilege to be here today, and as said, David wishes he could be here. It's a great privilege to be here on behalf of the Victorian Liberals, and John Pizzuto, the Leader of the Opposition, also sends his apologies. As I was thinking about what I would say to you today as we come together to mark the 100th day of anguish and heartache for all the Israeli hostages still held in the wake of the barbaric attack by Hamas on October 7, it struck me as a day that will be scarred in our memory for a very, very long time, a day that was the deadliest attack since the Holocaust. And this is a solemn moment to show our unwavering support for the Jewish community and Israel during this immensely difficult time. The unmanageable pain and grief experienced by the families and friends of the hostages is simply beyond comprehension. The ordeal that they are enduring is a daily nightmare, and our hearts go out to each and every one of them. And as a community, we stand in solidarity with them, offering our thoughts, prayers, and any assistance we can provide. At the end of last year, I had the privilege to hear directly from a group of relatives and representatives of victims and hostages from the Hamas attack. These courageous Israelis travelled all the way to Australia whilst living a daily nightmare. And they travelled here to ensure that their sons, daughters, sisters, brothers, nieces, nephews and friends, story was told, was heard, and the reality of this brutal terrorist attack was actually understood in Australia. And when I was listening to Tully Kitzner to tell the story of her son, Segev, who was murdered on the morning of October 7, it struck me that it was unthinkable that she should have to travel all the way to Australia at this time to ensure her son's murder was acknowledged and to fight a rising tide of anti-Semitism around the world. Tali was grappling with unspeakable anger and grief, yet she showed immense dignity and grace in honouring the memory of her son. We call for the immediate release of these hostages. The horror of that fateful day continues to be an unspeakable reality for more than 100 Israelis, including young women, young men, and innocent children. Their suffering is a stark reminder of the urgent need for their release and the importance of pursuing long-term peace. But we must also address a deeply concerning issue that has been on the rise in Melbourne, the resurgence of anti-Semitism. And let me be unequivocal. Anti-Semitism has no place in our city, in our state, or in our country. It is a hateful ideology that has caused immeasurable pain and suffering throughout history, and we cannot tolerate any form of discrimination or hatred against the Jewish community. And I was absolutely disgusted today to see the graffiti on the Beth Wiseman Community Centre, a day of immense grief for the Jewish community, an absolutely disgusting and decisive attack against the Jewish community. It has really come at a time over the last 100 days that our Jewish community has come together time and time again to support each other and done so in peace and respect. And today is another amazing example of that. The sheer number of people here today in peace, calling for hope and for peace and to release hostages is an example of how this community comes together. And at the end of last year, I attended a kite flying event at BLE College, where members of the Jewish community, mostly children, made and flew kites in a message of hope and lasting peace. Now, I have to contrast that with the approach from professional political activists that have sought to bring this deeply complex international conflict into Victorian classrooms, with complete disregard for the impact that will have on Jewish students, families and teachers. Contrast this with the hateful signs and chants at protests that are sought to involve students. I contrast this with the Victorian teacher that sought to publicly defend Hamas's actions. And as the Shadow Minister for Education, I will continue to fight against the infiltration of anti-Semitism in our classrooms every single day. who is not Jewish, I'm incredibly proud to stand with the Jewish community, today and always. It has always been a testament to the strength of our city here in Melbourne that people from all walks of life can come together and support each other in a time of crisis. We must work together to preserve this, to fight against division and to promote unity. Today, let us remember the hostages, their families and their friends in our thoughts and prayers. Let us continue to raise our voices and call for their release, and let us stand united against the rising tide of anti-Semitism around the world. Together, we can make a difference and create a better world for future generations. Thank you for having me here today, and I will always be proud to stand with you.